They say the mask protects the people you love, but sometimes it just acts as a target. Tied to a chair, completely exposed, Peter Parker didn't wait to be executed. The Goblin got too close, and with a surge of spider strength, Peter launched a brutal double kick straight into his jaw. The wood shattered. Free from his bonds, a sharp thwip echoed as his webbing jammed the glider's thrusters, sending the engine into a violent choke. Then came the raw fury, two bitter enemies trading crushing blows in the dark. Punches shattered chemical containers, instantly igniting an aggressive wall of fire. As the smoke cleared, the final blow tore the mask clean off. Peter's heart stopped. It was Norman Osborn, the father of his best friend. The building was collapsing, swallowed alive by roaring flames. Peter could have walked away. Instead, he lifted Norman onto his shoulders, fired a desperate line of webbing, and dragged them both out of the jaws of death. The next day, Peter walks into the Daily Bugle, met by a furious J. Jonah Jameson. Slamming his fist down, Jameson makes it brutally clear, no pay raises for Peter's pictures. Defeated, Peter leaves the noisy office and heads straight to the hospital to check on Harry. He finds his best friend waiting silently inside Norman Osborn's room. Stepping out into the quiet hallway together, Peter looks at Harry's strained face and tells him he needs to go back inside and talk to his dad alone. Just the two of them. The next day, Peter walks into the university chemistry lab and spots Gwen Stacy. Trying to shake off his nerves, he builds up the courage to slide over and strike up a conversation. They instantly lock eyes, sharing a warm, smiling moment as they talk about the class. Until a sudden shift disrupts the peace. Peter realizes his time is up. He has to make an excuse and leave her behind before the spider takes over again. The same day, two guards are escorting the Rhino when the monster suddenly breaks his chains, brutally overpowering them both. Meanwhile, Peter arrives at the Daily Bugle, where a fellow employee pulls him aside with urgent news. The Rhino is loose on the streets. This is his chance. If he can get to the scene and photograph the carnage, Jameson will have no choice but to finally give him that raise. Spider-Man drops into the chaotic streets, meeting the Rhino head-on. What follows is a brutal, unyielding brawl. The city shakes as both titans trade crushing blows. The Rhino charges like a runaway train, hurling massive, concrete-shattering punches that leave craters in the asphalt. Spidey barely dodges the onslaught, using his agility to counter with lightning-fast, desperate strikes to the giant's jaw. They grapple, trading heavy hits back and forth, both sides taking serious punishment in a savage test of sheer strength and will. Spider-Man races back to the chemistry lab, working frantically against the clock to mix a highly corrosive, experimental chemical compound. Loading the volatile fluid into his web shooters, he swings back into the fray and fires a precise blast right at the giant. The moment the specialized solution touches the Rhino's armored hide, a violent reaction triggers. The thick, impenetrable suit completely dissolves and disintegrates. Peter arrives home and is greeted by Aunt May, who has a special wish. She wants him to finally meet Mary Jane Watson. Walking over to the front door, Peter swings it open, and his jaw instantly drops. Standing on the porch, Mary Jane looks absolutely divine, radiating pure beauty. Peter is completely frozen, utterly shocked by the gorgeous girl standing right in front of him. Peter steps into the crowded pub with Mary Jane joining the rest of his friends. Flash instantly pushes forward, flashing a grin to introduce himself to the stunning newcomer. But the real tension ignites when MJ and Gwen lock eyes, sparking a sharp, subtle clash over Peter. Seizing the moment to make Gwen jealous, MJ leans in close to Peter, pulling him away toward the bar to grab a drink. Suddenly, the pub's TV screen flashes with a breaking news report. A massive, terrifying lizard is tearing through New York. Before Peter can even process the panic, MJ grabs him tightly by the tie, dragging him out of the bar. They sprint to his motorcycle, engine roaring, as MJ hops on the back, and they race straight toward the chaos. They arrive at the scene, but a police officer immediately blocks the entrance, refusing to let anyone pass. Thinking fast, Mary Jane steps up, using her charm to flirt and completely distract the guard. With the coast clear, Peter slips away, throws on his suit, and breaks into the room. Inside, he discovers Dr. Connor's terrified wife and kid. Shaking, she reveals the truth. The lizard is hunting in the underground train tunnels. Suddenly, Peter's spider sense flares violently. He spins around just as the massive lizard lunges from the shadows. The two lock into a brutal claustrophobic duel. The monster overpowers Spidey, slamming him toward the tracks. The brutal battle rages on beneath the streets. With a burst of strength, Spider-Man slams the monster into a wall of high-voltage cables, sending sparks flying. The shock dazes the beast, buying Peter time to regroup with Dr. Connors' family. The frantic wife hands him a syringe, begging him to save her husband. Peter acts fast, plunging the antidote into the lizard. Within seconds, the scales recede, leaving a human Dr. Connors shivering on the floor. Overwhelmed with relief, his wife and kid throw their arms around him, hugging him tight. Peter arrives home exhausted from the chaos, only to find Harry waiting for him. Looking around the cramped space, Harry makes a sudden generous proposal. He wants Peter to pack up and move in with him, sharing his dad's massive, luxurious penthouse apartment. Inside the cold concrete walls of Alcatraz prison, the Vulture suddenly collapses to the floor, feigning a medical emergency. Panicked guards rush into the cell to help, completely falling for the trap. Later that night, as the unsuspecting guards transport him through the facility, the Vulture springs his trap, brutally overpowering them and making a daring escape. He sneaks deep into the prison's evidence vaults, finally reclaiming his high-tech Vulture costume. High above New York, Spider-Man swings gracefully between glass skyscrapers. Tucked in his backpack is a crumpled note with the address to Harry Osborn's luxurious new penthouse apartment. Peter smiles under his mask, excited to finally move in with his best friend. Suddenly, a mechanical screech tears through the air. A massive green steel wing slices clean through Spidey's web line. Falling fast, Peter shoots a safety web, pivoting to face his attacker. He expects Adrian Toomes, but the high-tech jet armor and aggressive flight style prove this is a younger, far deadlier Vulture. They collide in mid-air, trading heavy blows. Spidey lands a solid punch, but the armor doesn't dent. The imposter spins into Peter's blind spot and drives a brutal boot into his chest. The kick sends Spider-Man crashing violently onto a gravel rooftop below. Spider-Man leaps off the rooftop, escaping into the night. Meanwhile, inside a dark hospital room where Norman Osborn lies as a patient, a mysterious black entity slowly slides under the door, creeping toward his bed. The next morning, Peter slowly opens his eyes, immediately greeted by the rich, savory smell of hot chicken soup filling the air. He blinks away his exhaustion and finds MJ sitting right by his bed, waiting patiently with a warm, comforting smile. Just 5 minutes later, Gwen softly enters the room to check on his recovery. After a brief chat, they all walk out into the spacious living room, where they meet up with Flash and Harry, who are relaxing and laughing together on the main couch. Suddenly, a loud, terrifying mechanical roar echoes from the busy streets outside, shattering the morning peace. Recognizing the danger instantly, Peter slips away unnoticed into a back room, quickly suits up, and leaps out the window into the sky to confront the Vulture. The aerial battle is incredibly fierce, with both of them trading heavy blows high above the city traffic. During the chaotic clash, a heavy bag of stolen cash slips from the villain's grip, plunging downward through the air and almost hitting Flash, who happens to be walking on the sidewalk below. Spider-Man swoops in just in time, catching the heavy canvas bag and pulling a shocked Flash to safety. "Do me a big favor and return this money straight to the bank," Spidey shouts over the wind. He hooks a fresh web and rockets back up into the sky to finish the fight, but the battle takes a shocking turn as a second fully armored Vulture suddenly emerges from the dark clouds. Facing two flying villains at once, Spider-Man is pushed to his absolute physical limits. The brutal, chaotic sky battle rages fiercely across the city rooftops, with feathers and webbing flying everywhere, ultimately ending in a total stalemate with no one winning. In the dark vault, the mysterious black stature shifts slowly and touches a piece of Spider-Man's torn suit. Visions flash through the darkness, Spidey fighting Scorpion's toxic tail, dodging Dr. Octopus's metallic tentacles, and wrestling the savage lizard. Then, on a pitch-black background, Kraven the Hunter waits silently to launch his attack. Suddenly, Kraven breaks into the penthouse, attacking Flash and Harry. They try to take him down with everything they have, but Kraven overpowers them easily, grabs Harry, and jumps out the window. Peter runs upstairs, suits up in a flash, and dives into a freefall, saving Harry at the very last second before impact. Craven immediately attacks back from the shadows, striking hard with his hunting blades. After a wild struggle, Spider-Man manages to fend him off. Harry gets back home safely, shaken to the core. Sitting alone in the quiet room, he sighs and looks closely at old photographs of Gwen, missing her deeply.